Texas Governor Greg Abbott stepping up to the microphone, giving us an update on this catastrophic situation in his state. Let's listen in. If the connection is unstable, we may need to move away from this. But for now, let's listen into the governor. Let's hear the latest from Central Texas. Some things to share. First, what I have observed in this community over the past 24 hours is what I call quintessential Texas. When Texans face a challenge, we come together, we unite. That's exactly what's happened over the past 48 hours in this community. Nothing more than extraordinary devastation. And the worst thing that could happen to this community fell apart. They could have fallen apart. They could have fought against each other. But instead, they understand the importance of unity. That's what Texans do. That's what we will continue to do. Along those lines, something else too, and ensuring that we locate every single person who's been a victim of this flooding event. We're not going to stop today or tomorrow. We will stop when the job is completed. Between now and whenever that day arrives, when the job is completed, this is a 24/7 operation, day and night. Because we know that we are looking for Texans and Americans, and we put them as our top priority, and we will find everyone. Additionally, I wanted to let you know that overnight, there was an increase in storm, damage and rainfall, and flooding in other regions of the state of Texas that were in addition to the ones that were in the disaster declaration that I made yesterday. What I'm going to sign today is an expanded disaster declaration that adds the following counties to what I signed yesterday. This disaster declaration includes Bixar County, Vernon, Caldwell, Guadalupe, Travis, and Williamson counties. We will continue to add counties as new, as conditions either worsen or improve in counties across the state of Texas. We will ensure that every asset and resource the state has is gonna be made available to every county. That's a subject of this disaster declaration. Also, I've had the opportunity to visit not just with Secretary Hano, but other officials in the Trump administration. And we know that President Trump, he loves Texas for a while. He's deeply concerned about all the families who have been affected, but also knows about the magnitude of the devastation that we're suffering. About to sign now is going to be the first step in our process. This document is a request for a federal disaster declaration coming from the governor to seek the immediate and ongoing help of the federal government. I want to express my gratitude in advance to President Trump and his entire administration for their devotion to the state of Texas. He always tells me about his love of the people of Texas, his deep concern for them, and I know that he's feeling that now as much as he ever has. And there's no better way to show that other than the fact that he wanted to ensure that he and his entire administration was represented here today by Secretary Kristi Noem, to whom I would like to turn things over at this time. Thank you, everyone, for being here today, and I want to thank Governor Abbott for his leadership. What has happened here in Texas and the loss of life is absolutely devastating to him and Melania. This morning I talked with him several times, and he wanted to make sure that all of you know how much he loves Texas, how much he's grieving for your families that have lost someone, and the beautiful children that we're still looking for and hoping to return to their families, and that he is absolutely committed to using all the resources of the federal government to help unify families, rescue all those that are still missing, and return those who maybe we will recover back to their families as soon as possible, and that we will be here walking alongside each other and helping throughout this entire crisis. And I know that I'm extremely grateful as well for the leadership of Nim Kidd, who's a fantastic emergency operations manager and has been well known throughout this country for leading through such a time as this. And this tragic situation is something that is unprecedented. We recognize that at the federal. We also recognize that when something like this happens to a community, happens to a state, that the best responders are those locally, because it's your family members, it's your community members that are being impacted. And you can respond quickly, and the role of the state is to run and manage that emergency But the federal government needs to be here for the support and extra resources on the ground as well. And that is what we are doing, and what President Trump has dedicated to continue to do. I visited with the president already about this special disaster declaration that the governor was going to sign here this morning, and he has indicated that he will honor that and that he will accept that. So that response and that relief will be coming. And we also have had assets here on the ground. Since the beginning of this crisis started, since this weather event did start. And even before it came, we were alerted. We did have Coast Guard assets that were helping to rescue people. We're thankful for the airframe that showed up and those coasties that were here walking alongside our DPS. The emergency responders that were here, the Texas assets that were deployed already, and that coordination was seamless. And I appreciate them for that request in right away. We also had our BORTAC team from Customs and Border Protection out here helping with rescues. They are a specialized, trained force to come in these types of situations and bring their skill set to bear. That is a resource that's incredibly important to the Department of Homeland Security. But also in these types of situations where we need emergency management response. We also did have a CBP that was helping with some coordination of air assets that has been present. And then we are looking at the other entities that are under the department and what can be utilized. And of course, FEMA is standing at an enhanced level right now, which means that they are plugged in. Which means that they are plugged into the State Operations Center and we are engaged, and then as this response goes forward, that their role will continue to be filled, as it always is in these situations, and will be timely and responsive as to what the governor requests and what is needed here on the ground. I do know that the state of Texas is amazing in how it responds to disasters. Not every state is like that. Many states do not do what the people of Texas do. And you are an example to the nation of getting through these difficult times. But also know that you're not alone, that you have the entire country's hearts and are with you and are walking alongside you. And at the department, we will continue to bring more resources. We just at the request of a previous conversation less than an hour ago in visiting with him and with the governor requested more fixed-wing aircraft from Coast Guard to come and help us, making sure that we're going and locating individuals as fast as possible that we know are still missing, and that we also will send more airframe, as far as helicopters, and that have the ability to come in, and some will be equipped, and the fixed wings with thermals so they can continue to work all night long. Some of the assets that other agencies may offer don't have that kind of equipment, but the Coast Guard does have it, and so that will be deployed that the search and rescue efforts don't stop even when it does get dark at night. We'll continue to stay engaged. And I'll be here. I'm going to go up to the camp. And I'm gonna go around town and spend some time here today and make sure that, when I am calling and talking to the president throughout the day, that he has timely information, that the requests that are coming here from the leadership on the ground are met immediately, and that we can take care of these families and take care of these folks right away. We do know the #1 priority now is people. Is making sure we're finding people as fast as possible and we're returning them to their families. And then also, throughout the process, we'll get into what damage was done to public infrastructure. What may have been done to, I know we have 1,800 people. They're still without power. But we do have damage to bridges and to roads. Thankfully, dams held. But all of that is an assessment that will continue to work with you on to make sure that you recover as quickly as possible. So again, thank you all for being strong and being an example. For people, someone told me a long time ago, over 30 years ago, that to never get angry on behalf of yourself, get angry on behalf of the other people, to always go and get up every day and go work for other people and help them. And so I know many of you that are out there responding and helping your neighbors had losses too. You're hurting because you're grieving somebody that may have been lost. We were created to serve people. God created us to serve each other. And now is a wonderful time to go find somebody you can help. Somebody that you can take care of and get them through this process, and that will make us stronger and better into the future. So our prayers are with you. President Trump wants you to know that he and Melania are praying for you and love you. Well, thank you very much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the assets and resources you and the Trump administration are providing. One thing that Secretary Noam mentioned was the fact that recoveries and rescues are being made. And what has happened over the past 36 hours is really amazing when you look at what the local officials have done, working in collaboration with multiple state agencies, as well as our federal partners. In 36 hours, they have rescued or recovered more than 850 people, some clinging to trees to save their lives, others in other precarious situations. It's just sheer heroism the way that we've seen our first responders rescue so many people. And now I would like to turn things over to Senator John Cornyn. My thanks to President Trump and Secretary Noam for responding so quickly to Governor Abbott's request for a federal disaster declaration. And particularly, Madam Secretary, thank you for being here in person. It's really important, and I think sends a very important message. Unfortunately, I've been to a number of disasters over the years across the state of Texas, has the governor. And none of these get any easier. But I have to tell you, I remain incredibly impressed with Governor Abbott's leadership and the incredible work that the Texas Department of Emergency Management, under the leadership of Nim Kidd, do. They are literally the best in the nation. And what Secretary Noam said about other states not responding as well is true. It's something we should be very proud of and grateful for, particularly at a time like this. And then there are the men and women who are standing behind us here, who have been doing the work on the ground, not waiting for the federal government to show up. They've been getting the work done, as the governor pointed out. And we are, all together, we are praying for those who have lost loved ones and are grieving. We are celebrating with those who have been reacquainted with and rejoined with their family members. And a few years ago, the governor will remember this. Up in West Texas, after a terrible disaster, a county commissioner there said something to me that I think is appropriate at a time like this. He said, being from Texas is not just about where you're from. It's who your family is. And so when things like this happen, we come together as a family, as Texans, in a way that I'm very proud of. But it's very important because this is who our family is, and we owe it to them. And I take the governor at his word that he and his team will be relentless in supporting all of the efforts at the local and the federal level until every last person is accounted for, and those families are reunited with their loved ones. But Governor, thank you again for your leadership. Secretary Noam, it means a lot to us for you to be here, and we appreciate Governor Abbott and Chief Kidd, but we appreciate President Trump and you responding so quickly to the governor's request for disaster declaration. Thank you very much. Thank you. And now, Congressman Chip Roy, thank you, Governor. Thanks all of you for being here. You know, before I was crazy enough to run for Congress, my family and I started a tradition down to Caryville for 4th of July, and we've been coming here every summer since. My kids were little. They're now 14 and 15. To see Robert and whoever else was playing, and pictures have been popping up my phone, the ones that kick on the anniversary of different shows. A bunch of different shows over the last decade. It hits home. It really does. It hits personally for those of us for whom this is our community, our home. My family lives in Hays County, but we spend a lot of time in care. And I can't say enough about the local leadership and what they've been doing in the face of this disaster. Your city manager has done an extraordinary job. Your sheriff has done an extraordinary job. I could go down the list of everybody, and I'll leave somebody out. But I can't say enough about what they've done. And then I can't say enough about the governor, and about them, and about the leadership that has come from the state, and from DPS, and from TDEM to get this done, and to do what we're in the process of still doing to react to this unfortunate circumstance. It's been professional, and it's been extremely well done. And I have to say, the secretary yesterday, I reached out to her office, I think it might be 15 minutes later, that I got a call from the secretary immediately. Responding to requests, I talked to Nim about the need for Army Corps support and some other stuff. Immediately talked to the secretary about the collaboration, the team, local, state, and federal. I cannot overstate the extent to which everybody set aside turfs or any of those kinds of things to deliver for the people of Texas. Now, we're far from having finished the job. We're all here knowing that we still have work to do. We're still prayerful. We're still hopeful. Obviously, there's a lot that we're dealing with, but I'm deeply appreciative for that coordination. And last point that I'll just make is And I've said this a little bit earlier this morning. There's gonna be a lot of finger pointing and a lot of second guessing and Monday morning quarterbacking. And I just wanted to pick up on what I think the governor said about 850 something individuals that were moved quickly in this circumstance and in a once-in-a-century flood, where you get 12, 14 inches, where you get a 26 to 30 increase in water in the course of an hour and a half at 4 to 6 o'clock in the morning on a holiday. And that's what we're dealing with in these circumstances. And where those camps are, there's a lot of people saying why and how, and I understand that, and I understand why parents should be asking those questions, and all of the media. But where we are right now in terms of what we've done to be able to protect people, get them out of the camps, and the heroic efforts of people that worked in those camps, directors of the camps, people who own the camps, who not just risked their lives, gave their lives to try to go save the lives of those kids. That's who they are as Texans, and I'm so proud of that. And I'm so proud of the work that everyone's done to do that. And now we just got to finish the job and be with the people, and importantly, pray for the families who have lost their loved ones. Thank you. Now, Clark County Judge Kelly. Our properties were devastated, and I barely got home yesterday. I started my morning ushering in a crew with a skid steer and 2 dump trailers, 3 trucks, 9 men to start trying to rebuild what went down the river. I then had the opportunity to come here, where I was asked to go over to the funeral home. I had issues over there, and a mediator and arbitrator, and we had some issues that needed attention. Many of the body bags, and it breaks my heart. And coming back from that, we had an opportunity to go on a helicopter, ride with the senator and the mayor, and inspect the devastation. We flew all the way up the South Fork, all the way to Critters, and you can see what's happened. And it's going to be a long time before we're able to clean it up, much less rebuild it. But there's nothing on the other side of Critters. It's just hill country. And we know we get rains. We know the river rises. But nobody saw this coming. And what I really have to report to you is, it was a godsend to be able to get out of the helicopter, walk back into this building, and sit down with these people and cooperate arm in arm, hand in hand, to do the best we can to work the process. The rescue is gone as well as can be expected. It's getting time now for the recovery, and that's going to be a long. And what I would reiterate that I've heard others saying is, as long as we stay together, we'll get this done. Thank you very much. And now, Mayor Herring, I want to start off by saying thank you. On behalf of the city of Kerrville and our 25,000 citizens, I want to say thank you to the federal government, the state government, county government. You know, as I look around the room in the Emergency Operations Center, I don't see different agencies from the state. The federal accounting, I see one team working together. It's important for our community to know. It's one team. We will rescue those in peril, and we will find those who are lost. I continue to ask everyone who sees this day to pray for Kerrville and Kerr County. We need your prayers, and thank God we have the help of the federal government and the state government in this horrible. Thank God for our country, and thank God for all the help we are receiving today. Now, I'm Chief Nim Kidda. Thank you, Governor. My heart breaks. It's broken for those families that have lost their loved ones, and that fuels our drive to continue to search for them. And we will not stop until we find every one of them. I have to start by thanking our local first responders. Those men and women on the streets live here. They work here. Their families are here. Yet they got on the truck, and they got in the car, and they got in the ambulance, and they went out, and they did everything they could to save their neighbors. You also have volunteers all over this county that do the job for free, that were out there working to save lives, many times putting their own lives and their property at risk. Our state partners have been phenomenal, nothing short. Madam Secretary, your federal team has been nothing short of remarkable and impressive. I'm grateful for that. Every time I've reached out to you, or your staff, or Acting Administrator Richardson, or the Acting Regional Administrator, I don't think the phone has rang twice before you've answered. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for being here with